Good morning, folks. It is just after 6 a.m. It has been a very long night for this observer, so let's just break down some things live here. And if you're in a real rush this morning, just know there were no major earthquakes or solar eruptions. And we're just going to run down some of the calmer activity that we've got going on here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Always takes a moment here on the Google Plus Hangouts. Share my desktop. Okay, now where we are now is we're at the 48-hour MPEG of the SDO AIA 304 over at NASA's website. And what we have is a maneuver of the SDO spacecraft that is causing a weird little jumbly thing on the sun. And it pretty much looks like that. It causes the sun to jump all around like that. Well, normally HelioViewer takes care of that and centers everything for you. However, for the fourth day in a row, HelioViewer is not updating. So what do? There'll be a brand new link below today, one that I haven't given out a whole lot before. It's kind of my backup link for the sun. It's got all of the SDO AIA on there, and it tends to run them much faster. So you can actually get some more detail. Now, if you saw a couple of skips there in the frames, what it does whenever the SDO goes into maneuver is it simply just cuts those frames out. And so you don't have this jumping of around. And I actually think it's a little easier to tell what's going on. Let me play that again so you guys can see the jumps. You guys see that right there? It just cut out those frames. And as you can see, yeah, of course, it would have been nice to have them, but you know, it doesn't really kill your ability to watch the sun. We did have a little bit of destabilization in that filament to the north, but no real eruptions, especially not in Earth's direction. Haven't had any more M flares. This is the GOES X-ray flux. We're getting a couple more C flares there. But as you can see here in 131 angstroms, most of this flashing is contained within these regions up here. And as you could see, there's really not even any ejecta, even though we do get some flashing. The flash you saw there were these flashes right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at these sunspots. This is pretty much where they are right now. We'll zoom in a little closer here to each of them individually. This is the one out in the lead. You can see it's pretty well spread out. It is beta. It's got both polarities. I would say it's beta gamma, as these polarities are really spread out. The only gamma candidate I see is really right here, and these are actually too far apart to officially call them gamma. Let's go back and check this one here. Let's remind ourselves what that one looked like. Okay, so that one's really just a tight coil with all these penumbras touching right here, and a little bit of umbral activity out to the side. So when we come here, we can see that those three main cores are indeed negative. This is a triple negative sunspot group, and the only thing that is positive really were those little umbras that were developing over to the left of it. Coming down here, reminding us what that looked like. All right, so we have one main umbra down here. It looks like it is split by a light bridge, and we have a couple of sunspots behind it, much smaller. Even with the light bridge, it's just separating two negative portions of the umbra, and we have both positive and negative going back. Solar wind really began intensifying a little bit after the news yesterday, and you might remember I said that we were on a magnetic storm watch. That's about as rough as it gets for the electron flux, and we spent the majority of the time since we last spoke in a geomagnetic storm. It is just a KP5 and level 1. Top earthquake of the day was in Venezuela, all to the north. Anything close to this Caribbean Sea right here, assuming it is not on the western subduction zone over here on the western side of Central America, anything over 4.0 here is significant. So a 5.2 in Venezuela definitely takes the cake as the top quake of the day. Top news story of the day is we have a solar polar fields update. We are still positive. It looks like this might be a tick down in negative before we head a tick down in the negative direction before we head back positive now. Nothing here to suggest that our previous assertion of the pole flip being complete was wrong. That still looks pretty much on track here. These tend not to be linear. They do tend to go in one way and then tick back the other direction, and that's what we've seen here. In terms of the weather, make sure you are checking this area tonight. If you are in, these portions of Texas, Oklahoma, if you're in one of the flash flood areas of Louisiana or Mississippi, also we'll have some heavy snow possible to the northwest of that. And that's all going to be possible as I pull up the earth wind map here. Because I'm not rendering this on my end, you guys get to see all of the loading bars so you can see how long it takes for this stuff to actually load on the computer. Sort of this weird convergence down from this low way up here at the Hudson. It sort of comes down and breaks all through, but it's still got the cold air coming down to meet the warm air. And so that churning in is what's going to be causing all of the storms, the flash flooding, and the cold air coming in is what's going to frost it for the heavy snow warnings tonight. I'm going to go ahead and quickly do this for Europe and Australia as well. Europe first. Noticing the circulation of a low there, circulation of a low there, and circulation of the low there. These don't look like they are as active, although this line you can see right here has convergence written on it. And I don't have the clouds up with me, but I'm willing to bet that if you go check them out, this buddy down here in the Mediterranean is going to be doing some stuff, but they're really going to all be going towards this bigger low just over in northeast Europe. Let's go ahead and check out Australia to see if anything's going on down here, anything significant anyway. When last we checked, there was a storm over here that was trekking in this direction. It looks like it really hasn't moved much. It's probably still shearing onto Australia there, but what's really catching my eye right now, is there a low down there even further? Sort of. There's sort of an oddly shaped low here, but can you see the convergence right here? This is where air comes down and meets air coming from this way. It curls back up, meets here. And this is a convergence line that's pretty much cutting through the country right now. And if this advances any further, the convergence line could actually begin cresting New Zealand as well. Anyway, it was a bit of a long night for me, and if you guys were on the comment section last night, you may have seen some things that were a little bit disturbing. Here's what happened. Somebody has a YouTube channel that they have basically Google hacked into looking just like mine. Now, before you go giving this person a medal, all they did was tell Google Plus that their real name was Suspicious Observers. And then they went and they made the YouTube channel and just elected to use their quote unquote real name as their YouTube tag. This person came onto our channel last night and said some really terrible things impersonating me. And if he said something like that to you, I am very, very sorry. I'd give him an A for effort if it hadn't already been done 2 or 3 times since 2010 or 2011. Anyway, I do apologize for that, and there are things in the works to fix it. But anyway, I will go ahead and when this video finally does post to YouTube, I will go ahead and give you guys this link to this all sun image. You can pretty much click them all. Some look a little different, actually. Like this is what the 304 looks like. Almost looks like a see-through sun. I'll go ahead and give you guys the link to this page too. All in all, quiet on the quakes. Check your storm alerts all over the world right around sundown. Nothing going on big on the sun either, but we'll keep our eyes on all of it as always. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.